Well, dude, thanks for
Yeah.
coming on. We
Yeah,
appreciate it.
definitely.
I'm
It's,
really excited for this one. This is gonna be
yeah.
sweet. Uh,
Yeah.
Likewise, man. I'm just stoked to see someone doing some scooter podcasts and, always happy to talk about scooter stuff. I enjoy it.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We
Uh,
thought you'd have some dope stories and just like stuff to say as well. So I'm glad to kind of like have a long-term conversation with you and just see what we get going for sure.
110%,
Sure.
man. I got ideas. I'm definitely opinionated. I've been around a while.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely want to get into all of that. If you want to just start off with kind of like a quick intro, like where you're from, how long you've been riding,
Yeah,
we
for
can just
sure.
start from
Ryan
there.
Upchurch. I've been riding for, I don't know, 16 years now, probably. I think I started in like 2006. So, yeah, maybe 17 years. Uh, yeah, that's a long time. I'm an old man. But anyway, yeah, started riding in like 2006. Friend came to the skate park, had like SR forks. I was skateboarding at the time. Saw him with the SR forks. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like your scooter is like
Yeah.
on steroids over here. He had the bolted foldy. It was pro model days, obviously, with like yak wheels with hot glue in the cores and everything. So
Yeah.
he was all tricked out, and I was like, "Oh, that thing is sick." So he let me ride it, and from that, I got an A model, like, and it was boosting like 2 or 3 feet out on like
Yeah.
oh
pretty fat
yeah.
half pipe, like a week or two later. So yeah, from that point, I was pretty much hooked. I was just shredding through all of the old pro models and A models for quite a few years until finally some scooter parts actually started being made.
Yeah. Hell
Oh
yeah. What
yeah.
was like your first custom scooter?
uh TSI. It was like the first deck like ever, released. So yeah, the first TSIs actually had bolt-on deck plates. So it was just
Yeah.
the rails, and you would actually have to like tighten down the tops of the decks, which was pretty tight.
Yeah.
Stan Smirnoff had doodled on my first one that I got.
No
No
Um,
sick.
way.
and actually prior to that, like I had my brother at one point, like before they had like legit decks. Obviously I had box stands and things like that, but my brother was able to like weld and do some TIG welding on the pro model. So we just got like a little plate and then just, welded it solid. And that actually lasted quite a while. So if you want to go back that far, that was really my first like sort of custom scooter. But I was always
Yeah.
messing around with stuff before there was real options to choose from.
Hell
That's
yeah.
dope. That's super cool.
Dude, I can't even imagine. Like that I got so much respect for y'all welding together your own scooter parts. Like I'm
Yeah.
out of that generation. That's fucking
Yeah,
insane. The dedication.
kids are blessed these days. They don't know how good they
Yo.
have it. They walk in a scooter store and it's like, which brand am I going to choose from? Like back in the day, it's like, what other sport has products that might fit on my scooter?
Yeah.
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 Because
Yeah.
back in the day, it was like only skateboard bearings, and then you would hope that maybe they had some rollerblade wheels, which is really where like Yak and everything got their start. So
You think
we just throw on some Yak
yeah.
wheels, and that was pretty much
Seeing what
the
you
only
can
options
find
there in the
in
beginning.
your garage or your friends and just making it work.
Yep, pretty much.
Boom.
Frank and Scoot everywhere.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, I kind of want to get into some of the newer shit you've been doing with like Edge. And I mean, you say you're doing a lot of video calls, coaching. What's your main gig right now?
So I run Edge Brand Agency, so that's like a brand design, identity, strategy. So I help with like getting brands like their logo, how they put out their visual and verbal identities, and help them build systems that allow them to like scale their brand, save time, and creating things, avoid general business problems.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's sort of like where I'm focused at. So I've helped, obviously a lot of scooter brands within the industry, but the past couple years I've been trying to get, you know, outside of the
Outside of
scooter industry.
scootering.
But yeah,
Yeah. Where
Yeah.
there's
just
some money.
money, yeah, and also like just experiences working with like other industries and brands. Because for me, like with the agency, my goal is to create assets or things that are like useful to any business, right? So like the more industries that I'm able to get experiences from, I can see like where the common threads are, and develop things for people that actually make a difference for them, because like
Yeah.
a lot of the clients and people that I like work with and like talk to these days, like they think of design as like, oh, that looks pretty, that's great, or I want my logo to look like this on the wall. I'm like, then we probably shouldn't work together, if like, because they think it's literally just about looking good. I'm like, that's like one small piece of the puzzle, like there's, who is your brand? What are your goals? How do you communicate all these things to every part of your business and organization and build a culture around that? Because that's how you actually have people that are working under you or for you, or someone that's in a, especially now that like remote work is so popular, like you can send things off to people and know what to expect that you're going to get back, right? If you actually give them good direction and, build systems around things that could be repeatable, and it reduces the chances of getting some bullshit back that, it doesn't look anything like what you had in mind, or, anything like what your brand looks like. So, I help people set standards around those things. And then also try and, provide experiences and insights of things that I've ran into just working with so many different people over the years, and, running some of my own businesses, and, just, that's sort of the gist of it, I guess.
We could use that.
Yeah. I was gonna say we may hit you up, book another session here
exactly
soon.
Yeah, behind closed doors, so we don't reveal all your secrets unless
hey man, I'm an open book over here, right? Because like my thing is it takes a long time to actually like learn the stuff and like figure it out. So like I'm happy to give people like my entire process, because like the process isn't the hard part. It's like executing on it. Like, what do I do with that information? Right. And it takes like having experienced those things and knowing when to use it, how to use it, and all of that to I think make a difference. Right. So I like to share with people sort of like, and part of like my onboarding process, like when I work with different businesses, like I'll have some documents that I'll like send you guys after this. But yeah, it just like gives people a rundown of like what is branding. It's not just about looking good. You have visuals, you have verbals, you have like your team, the environment, vision, values, all of those sort of things. Like what does your brand believe in? How does all of these things interoperate, and who do you give that to in your organization and help them
I got you.
do what it is that they do.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, that's dope for sure.
Well, fuck, we'll definitely have to talk a little bit more later on that, but I really want to get into like early scooter days for you, and just you got so many worlds first, and I feel like you've done a lot.
Yeah.
Anything that comes to mind, Austin, in terms of
the first 9, right? 900?
Debatably. I was the first one who released a video of a 900. Hunter Bechtel apparently did one like a week or so before I did, but
that's what they always say.
I think his camera got stolen or something like that. But anyway, footage did not come out. But Casey Corning, he did a 900 from quarter to bank. I was the first person to do it out of a quarter, back into a quarter, right away cleanly. So I was pretty hyped on that. I day of, just doing fives. I loved fives at the time. I was doing some combos and stuff. I'm like, man, these fives are feeling kind of slow. What happens if I speed this up a bit? And then like, I gave like the first go, I got pretty close. And same thing for go number 2 and 3. And then the fourth try, literally, like I just like I rode away and I was like, what the fuck? I was not expecting at all to land that. I'm like, definitely gave me a big head for a little bit. I'm like, am I like the Tony Hawk of scooters now? I'm like, this is pretty tight. But yeah, that's what goes through a 14-year-old's head when, you just don't know nothing yet.
Yeah. They're going to make a whole video game about me. Holy shit. My life changed.
And I was like, damn, this is exactly. Yeah. But definitely was not the case. I was, just with like a couple homies. They were like there with the potato cam. They're like, hey, dude, that was pretty sick. Hell yeah.
Yeah. What year was that? You remember?
Probably around like the 2008 to 2010 era. So good ways back. But yeah, that time, Other Worlds First, Flare Quad, that was like maybe 2 years after that. So maybe around like 2012-ish, 13. Same thing with the Flare Quint. But yeah, people have done so many crazier things at this point. It's wild seeing the level that people are riding at these days. They're just like adding combos into like every trick that like I worked my ass off for. I'm like, wow, these kids just have so much talent.
Yeah, it's crazy, the bar, man.
Yeah, and the facilities and everything have just gotten so much better over the years. You know, like back in the day, it's like, hey, can we like bring a mattress to the skate park?
Yeah.
And then you just slide it under homie when he tries his trick. If it looks like he's gonna ride away, we're gonna pull it out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They might miss the throw. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
it's definitely not resi.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, I learned all my stuff to wood pretty much. Like I went to the incline club to learn backflips one time and yeah, I was like afraid to throw it on the boxes there because like despite it looking perfect on video, you actually have to like take some time to like learn how to ride like the incline club like when they were in their old setup because the boxes are like not mellow at all. They're pretty steep. They're booters like send you up. So I was like, oh God, I'm gonna like backflip back into the ramp because I'm when I first learned them, I wasn't very good at like
Airing
landing
out.
them like yeah actually like pushing through the lip to get some distance on it. So yeah, I would like land on the deck there at the foam pit. So I was like, there's no way I'm doing this on the box. That's death. So I waited like a week. I went back to Newport and then someone's like, hey, if you try one of those backflips, I'll give you a piece of pizza because it was pizza night there. I was like, fuck it. And then yeah, one backflip late. I got it like first go. I was like, yeah, it's like the same thing as at the incline club, but just not as deathly scary because I knew the box jump there. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to travel here. We're going downhill, working to
Yeah.
my advantage.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, it just took a slice. That's awesome.
Little slice, yeah.
Some brownie.
You've
Yes, sir.
you've always been from like the P&W, right? I don't know if you said that in the beginning or maybe I missed it, but yeah.
No, I started out in Delaware, moved west to, Oregon for about 4 or 5 years. And then I moved to Pennsylvania for about 2 or 3. And then I've been back in Delaware now for about 3 years now. So grew up
Okay.
in East Coast, went
Okay.
west like soon as I got out of high school to work for uh at first it was GGI, which was Gravity Group. They distributed Blunt Envy and Phoenix at the time. So I went to work with them as like the marketing manager right out of high school, did like a ton of behind the scenes work, built the teams up, helped them with like product catalogs, all that sort of stuff. And then, yeah, they ended up breaking apart. And then I went to Turnstile Brands once I went to Grit, but both happened to be in Portland. So, it's just,
Yeah.
get an apartment slightly across town and, it's good to go again.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was remembering. Like those days of you shredding in the P&W.
Dude, yeah, there were some golden years out there for sure. I'd like never ridden concrete either, so it was like I had to dive in head first.
Yeah.
The Cooper Clark, he loves the bowls, so I had to learn that because we would go out all the time to ride some deep concrete, and is either I'm going to be bored on the sidelines and filming all the time, or I'm going to figure out how to ride all this stuff. So
Yeah,
I chose
actually
the
learn how
latter,
to sesh
and
it.
Yeah.
yeah, just
Hell yeah.
that was always the goal for me. It's just like no matter where we are, I want to be able to have fun on this. Like, I want to be able to ride ledges. Like I wasn't good at that for a long time. Like I still suck at manuals because I originally learned how to ride ski. Like all types of quirkiness about my riding. Like I originally learned flares opposite. I learned Bry's opposite. Like I had to like relearn everything a number of times throughout the years because I just like did whatever worked. Like back in the
Yeah.
day before there was like standards, like people are like calling people, oh, hey, you should probably do this that way. I was just like, I'm landing it,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck
and then
yeah.
I
100%.
and then I cleaned that up over time. But yeah, it's funny.
No, hell yeah. I could definitely see that mentality like in scootering in its infancy. It was just like, bro, if 2 feet are on, I don't give a shit which way I'm doing this trick. Just
Oh,
however
for
it
sure,
comes
dude.
around. Fuck it. Y'all don't know any like style like that wasn't even a thing. It was just like, oh dude, I'm just doing it.
Yeah,
Whatever. And now you got kids.
yeah.
Now you got like 13-year-olds doing every trick every single way you can. Every full whip, rotor whip, front side, back side,
Switch.
retarded.
Yeah,
Switch.
hard to keep
Yeah.
up with, man. These kids got talent, and there's so many of them these days. Like I can't even keep up with it. So yeah, I just keep in contact with people behind the scenes most of the time, and then if like it's a really crazy clip, it ends up being posted on the feed, and I'm like, oh, look at that kid, holy shit, like
Yeah. Yeah.
never heard of him before, but he's really ripping, like, and that happens at least like once a week for me now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's all these like Russian kids too. That's the one I just see on my homepage. Like I can't
Yeah,
even
definitely
pronounce your
some.
name. You haven't even hit puberty. and you're doing like board with back lip to Sev.
Oh yeah,
What are you
yeah,
on?
man. Russia, Eastern Europe, definitely some hella technical riders that have like
Mm,
just like the craziest like street flat ground, just like all kinds of technical tricks
yeah,
they said.
awesome. Well, dude, you've been on like so many different companies, and I feel like you've gone through like a handful of sponsors. You've been through the ringer. So like, what is you can speak from the perspective of what do you like to see from a company? Like when you're on, like if you're getting parts for them or you're sponsored, what do you want? Like, what do you think?
um Back in the day, it was just like whatever is going to be the most travel and the biggest budget, as I think most people look at these days still. But like now, sort of like looking back, I think like just having a good company, like not someone that's just going to mail you the check and then that's the end of it. They might send you some places, but like a team that's actually like a team, because those are the ones that like I think actually, last or, have a meaningful impact. And it isn't like anyone's getting rich. So the difference of a couple $100, it's like, I think that most sponsored riders these days are usually of, working age or close to it. So it's pretty easy to like pick up a couple extra $100 by like having a little side gig or something like that. So, for me, it's just about having like a good atmosphere.
What's the culture?
Having people that are, yeah, and having people like every team has like I think a different vibe, right? Some teams are like if you like look at like Lucky, they've produced or had like a lot of guys that have come up through them that ended up being like huge YouTube stars and things like that, right? Like the Funk Brothers. You look at like even like Cody Flom has had quite a bit of success on like YouTube and that sort of stuff. Tanner Fox, so I think that like they were really focused on like helping their guys get exposure. How do you like, have good practices on social media? They have good people on their internals and things like that. So I think that, some companies go that route, other companies go the like, it's just super relaxed. We're just going for, this is a homie team. There's teams out there that are just like strictly on, we're going on following and, whoever's hot right now. So I think there's, a team for everybody, but, I'd sort of consider that aspect of it. It's like, what does this team do really well? What does this company do really well? And is it something that I want to be part of or think that I can add to, right? Because like, it's also like an opportunity, I think, for, people that have other skills or other backgrounds to look at, you know, this team might not be doing this particular thing very well, but maybe that's something you're really good at and you can help fill a gap there or something like that. But for me too, it was having relationships beyond like the riding, because I've always been a rider, but I have had ambitions to do design and see what things look like behind the scenes. Definitely been interested in like entrepreneurship and that sort of side of things because I also wanted to improve the industry. I was part of like some of the early like ISA stuff when that was first kicking off, part of the rider committees and, helping organize events, camps, being,
Yeah.
like counselor at Woodward, all those sort of things, over the years. So, just trying to, figure out what can actually like make things better, how can riders eventually earn a career, and I realized pretty early on that, that probably wasn't going to happen while I was riding. So I was like, I need to have an off ramp here, that allows me, it would be cool to stick around the industry, but not have to rely on it like as a rider. So that was always sort of at the back of my mind and sort of how I chose the companies that I worked with. And I
Oh yeah.
also like companies that are professional, right? Like I've never been a guy that's been like, hey, we're just going to have like a relaxed team. I've always been like, hey, I'm, sending it out here. Let's send it, on the business side too. Let's try and grow something awesome. Let's try and make some really cool parts. Let's try and get, teams on, good trips, help these guys make some memories and get some experiences that'll, last long after they're done riding, and for me, that was like, I think one of my biggest takeaways as a pro rider is just all those experiences and, networking. Like even after all these years, I still have like people all over the world that I can hit up and be like, hey, I'm in whatever country. Is there
Mhm.
someone around? Someone
Yeah.
will pick you up from the airport or bail you out of a situation, let you crash at their house, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, well put. Because a lot of people don't look like at being sponsored with that kind of depth. They just think like, I'm getting paid, or like, am I going to go on trips, or even if it's just give me parts. But I guess it really is like, yeah, you want a good culture on team. You want to be able to meet people.
Yeah, and
So
realizing that you're not going to get rich out of it either. So like look at
yeah,
all of the other aspects, right? Like it's nice like when you're really young to like, for me, I felt like a baller when I was in high school. I'm like, damn, I'm making like I'm everyone else is like in school. Like I would actually skip school to go on trips, and my teachers and everyone were okay with it because I was like, oh, it's it's work related, which totally like it kind of fit into what I was doing because I went to school for industrial mechanics, and I was like, yeah, I'm helping them with like, designing parts and all this other stuff. But really I was on like, I was on tour. I was going to like England to like do shop visits at like local retailers and things like that. But yeah, I think that part is definitely overlooked a lot. And, I think that, people could probably have a lot better experience if they're not as focused on those kinds of things. It's tough like early on. And, you can definitely, feel like you're getting ahead when you're like traveling and doing all these things that like people around you aren't at your age, which, it is totally awesome. But very quickly, by the time you're 18, you're 20, people are getting real jobs. They're making just as much, if not more, and you're still in the same place, right? So then you have about 5 years of trying to make it work. Can I get, into something that's going to allow me to make my own money, not from the parts manufacturers? Is it something that, I can find a job in the industry and make a little bit more? Is it time to move on? And I think a lot of the writers just end up moving on and don't really have, in the back of their mind how they can, pick up or apply skills um, beyond the riding,
yeah,
in the early years.
no, yeah, that's huge. I know a lot of, not a ton, but like people within scootering that like start sponsored and then start working for them. I know like Ian McDonald does a lot of back end shit for Triad, and that's his job. Is like, yeah, he's a
Yeah.
sponsored rider, but then he fucking does like warranty claims or something. But yeah, just finding little ways within a company where you can make money and still scooter and be involved. So it is cool. Definitely look at all
Yeah,
the
and
aspects
it's just a huge
or
opportunity, I think, for growth,
angles.
like as a person too, because there's like so many different ways that like the things that I've learned in scooters over the years apply to all these other businesses that I work with now. So like as a scooter rider, you're picking up tons of like media skills, like how to speak to people, how to market yourself, how to, you know, uh, create content from an actual like editing, and how to film with the camera when you're out there. All that stuff is super valuable in like so many different ways. But like I think a lot of, the guys that I've known over the years, they just kind of like let all that go at the end because they don't have something else to put it into right away. That just goes on the back burner, and then they'll just go work it, wherever. I'm like, well, you have a ton of like valuable skills. If you just, found some part of that you enjoyed and maybe wanted to run with, then, there'd probably be, a ton of ways to apply that, maybe don't force you to go like do some job that you don't like. And
Yeah.
for me, that was like part of it too. It's like, I don't want to go work in an office, so I'm going to figure out how to not do that. And that's what I focused on, right? How do these businesses work? Who run these things? What actually goes into it? And like for scooter riders specifically, like, what actually influences what creates travel budgets? What is it that creates good experience for, the customers and things like that? Like just like having, some face-to-face interactions with some of that, I think is, helpful to, know how you can help, know how, the struggles and, the successes of the business that you're a part of, all those sort of things. And,
Oh
can
yeah.
definitely make for a better company, and also like save a lot of, heartache and pain. Like when times aren't good, it's like, oh, these companies really don't make like, a ton of
Money.
money. We might have a
No.
lot of sales, but margins aren't great. They're giving a ton of product away. They're, it just ends up like not being like, this cash cow. Like you'll hear sales sometimes like, oh, this company sells millions of dollars of product, but it's like, yeah, what is their margin after, all the things that they do, right? Like, and something that was like eye-opening for me is like just like looking at like different industries. Like if you look at like, just say like I have a friend who does like BMX, right? Like he was like a pro rider back in the day, but now he does like more like YouTube videos and things like that. And he was like getting really popular for doing some electric bike videos, and he had a company from California or something like that. They're like, hey, we'll give you $15,000 to fly out here and do a couple videos on this electric bike. It's like a week long. And he just came to me. He's like, holy shit, this company offered me what would be like a year's worth of travel budget for a BMX company. Like they wouldn't ever do anything like this. I'm like, yeah, it's because the business is different. the cost of the product is different, the amount of education that the consumer needs. Like think about like say like a BMX bike or a scooter that's like a freestyle product, right? Like they are something that is only interesting to a small audience. That audience has like 10,000 options to choose from. Not everything's compatible. For someone with an electric bike, there's a price tag that's like 5 times what we buy scooters for. And then all they care about is how fast does it go, how long does it take to charge, and when can it get here? So you can see how, there's a lot more margin in there. You don't have someone that's on the phone all the time, oh, here's how you tighten that, here's how you change that, like they're, from just a cost perspective, and then also just like demographic size, product volume, price, margins, like the whole deal, the whole way through, right? So we're kind of in a business model that's hard to, I think, have a whole lot of like upside in until, you're reaching like big box stores. And it's something that I hope to see more of in the industry over time, is that some of these really official freestyle brands also offer entry-level scooters under the same name at, a Walmart or a Kmart, right? So they can ride a tilt scooter from Kmart that's just some, entry-level scooter, and eventually, graduate to the freestyle one. Like there isn't much of a connection there. And a lot of the brands that are in the big box stores don't have, like the RVM videos like I saw back in the day to get me interested. Oh shit, there's people who do tricks on these things. Maybe I can too. Like that's what got a ton of people into it. And we don't really have that, connection that brings people from one side to the other. So maybe in the future that could be where part of the growth comes from. And I think by doing that, you have a larger pool of pro riders eventually, and then, sport matures, get corporate sponsors, and actually have some, real positions available for people that are, role models and athletes.
Dude, hell yeah. I mean, fuck, it makes sense.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get an e-bike and then you start to get into it and you're like, wait, there's IHC, HIC, SES. Oh, I got to pick out all the, okay, actually I'm chilling. I'm not going to ride an e-bike. I'm fine. So yeah, you're right. Like getting something, I mean, yeah, companies make all their money off completes. Not all their money, but like a good chunk. Like the ones that make a lot of money and are cash cows. It's the people that are just like, oh, I want a scooter. And then they just buy a scooter and they don't have to go through that dichotomy of learning how to build a scooter and what's going to be compatible. And it's a headache when you're first doing it. So that's just going to turn them away. Yeah. It's like when I go to an ice cream shop and they got 24 flavors, I can't fucking choose. But if they got 3, it's like, yeah, dude, I'll get cookies and cream. I know, in
but
5
the
seconds.
problem is like if you choose the wrong flavor, it doesn't even work. It's like it just like imagine there's like an auto just destruct.
You can't even eat it.
It just disappears out of your hand. Like there's just an auto destruct button, right? Like you've picked the wrong flavor, you have fucked up royally. No ice cream for you, right?
Yeah.
And then that that results in service calls. Like I said, like that goes back to the internal cost of the brand of someone has to be on the phone to say, hey, I'm sorry you've had a terrible experience with my product because you don't know which parts go with which parts to have, something that actually rides properly. So there's, a lot that, even I'm trying to do today to, try and eliminate or at least reduce some of those frictions. How can we better educate the consumer before they're ordering the wrong part? That reduces costs that within the business, and also, probably result in more sales because people aren't like, damn, I'm not going to order because I don't know whether I need IHC or HIC or SES or any of these things, right? And a lot of those people probably won't ever pick up the phone to call to ask someone. They'll go down to the store, they'll see it, Kmart, Walmart, whatever. Oh, that one rolls around, that works, we're good.
Dude, I haven't thought about this in so long, and you're bringing back like garage trauma of me trying to build a scooter with my dad when I was 14. It's like, why the fuck don't the bars go on the clamp? I bought these bars, I can't put them in this clamp. And then he's sitting there all pissed. Oh God.
Yeah. After all these years, I'm still not like the most like scooter techie. I would like make things work, but yeah, it's still not my favorite thing to do. Even as good as it's gotten over the years, it's pretty easy now, but definitely a little bit of trauma there from just like trying to make things work that shouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, shit, you're welding stuff, so you're much deeper into it. Well, shit, dude, to get away from like the business aspect a little bit, I do love it, but like I want to hear about some of the stories. So the Pastrana land, did you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that was an invite from my BMX friend I was talking about earlier. He the bike company that he rode for at the time is Hyper. The investor of Hyper was Jim DeChamp's uncle, right? And Jim DeChamp, he's like, best friends with Travis, hanging out there at the house all the time. So we got the invite out to Pastrana Land one time, and Mike's like, hey, if you want to come along, you can. So we went there and rode for the day. And, I was throwing down a little bit, but I was definitely not hitting the mega the first day that we were there. And, Travis sees me doing some stuff. I'm like, doing some flares. I'm doing like flare whip turn down, some pretty heavy stuff. And he's just like, hey, have you ever hit a mega ramp? I'm like, no. And he's like, well, if you want to come back tomorrow, ESPN's going to be here with some cameras. I was like, okay. So obviously showed up the next day. There's terrible run up to this thing. ESPN's there. They're filming like, I think it's like My Backyard or something like that on ESPN. I forget what it was called, but it would just show off like different celebrities' cool backyards. And it was basically like MTV Cribs, but just for backyards. So they filmed that there at Travis's, and yeah, they wanted to get a clip of me hitting the mega ramp, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I got to do a trick over it. I've never really hit anything like this before, and I was like, it's kind of far, so maybe I'll do a front flip. So sure enough, go up to this big hill. We're climbing up his like massive hill on his like in his driveway there. He has like this, it's kind of like a footpath that goes the whole way down. So that's like where I have to ride on to get to the mega ramp. And there's like rollers in the middle of it too, which you obviously do not want to hit at a very high speed, which I just had to jump over entirely. So I go as far back as I can. I'm running across like mulch and gravel in his driveway to like get speed at the start of this path, huck it over these rollers on the way down, and, get speed wobbles a little bit before I go up the first time. And I tossed my scooter like almost as soon as I take off, because I would have shot off to the side somewhere. And then, I ended up like landing somehow just far enough backwards on my stomach, sliding backwards. So I did like I don't even know what to call it, like a misty
Did you
flip sort
clear
of
it?
thing. Yeah,
You
just
cleared it.
barely. Dude, I
Oh,
would have died if
shot
you would
60
not,
feet.
you would not be speaking with me today if I did not clear it. That was yeah, like have you seen the gap there at Travis's place?
Yes.
Like it's death. There's like a 20-foot drop, and you're running
It's just
into
a
like if you
wall.
come up short, you're running into a vert wall, like a 20-foot vert wall. So it's either like 20-foot vert wall or you're safe. Um yeah, and I was safe just barely the first time. Second time, I didn't get the speed wobbles, and it just fucking went. Felt like I was floating forever. The resi is terrible on the landing because they're usually riding like motocross or BMX or something over it, and they have these like little like like there's some rollers in that too.
Oh
So I
yeah.
almost got sent trying to go towards the quarter, but yeah, that ended up working out, and yeah, front flip went down in history. And that was
No,
before like R Willie ever was part of like Nitro Circus, and they had actually like asked if I was like interested in being a part of it, but I was only like 14 or 15 then when I did that.
you were
So
14 when you fronted that?
yeah, 14, or I was still in like I was like early in high school. Yeah,
Dog, I like just
so
learned double whips.
I started early, dude.
Crazy.
And also, when Travis asks you to do something, you kind of do it, dude. That's how
Yeah.
things go there. They're trying to get me to backflip the pit bike too. I definitely denied that one. I would have got messed up, but yeah, I opted for the fronty instead over the mega ramp.
Oh my God.
I would
I'm
have hit the
taking the
pit
pit
bike.
bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Woo!
Did you already like front flip pretty well before that? Then obviously, like you'd
Not really. I'm still not great at front flips. I just like go really far. So I was like, that's the only way I'm making it over this. And judging by how close I landed to the edge both times, I definitely made the right choice that the front flip had to be the one. Because that's the only way I was getting enough distance. I would always like the only way I would front flip like regular boxes is if they were like extra long, like kind of hard to clear, like
Yeah.
normally. If they're kind of hard to clear normally, then it's the perfect distance for me to front flip.
Word.
How was the adrenaline after that?
Ridiculous. It felt like a dream, dude.
I
Because
mean, yeah,
you have like Travis and like Jolene and all these people like cheering you on. I'm like, I watched these fucking people on TV like as a kid. Like, I watched Travis do the first double backflip in the X Games. I'm like, I'm in this guy's backyard and he's clapping for me. Like that's kind of surreal.
Yeah.
Not to like
ESPN.
fanboy
Yeah.
out totally, but I was
Oh,
totally
it's
fanboying
valid.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's bro. And
It's
you did something
insane.
to earn his respect. I mean, after they were probably all losing their shit seeing that.
Yeah,
It,
dude. And I
but
just want
no.
to make sure too, because like at the time, right? That's like before scooters were like allowed anywhere, allowed to do anything. And they even there, they just thought I was gonna die. They thought I was gonna be funny, right? Like that I would like maybe get hurt or like it would just make a crazy clip. If I rode away, it was either gonna be awesome or tragedy. But they kind of went in thinking like, there's no way he's gonna do this. Like, and they would still talk crap on scooters at that time. But that was like for me, it was like also proving to them like, hey, scootering, there's guys that are serious about this and they're, we actually send it, we're not
Yeah.
some little kids at the skate park that get in the way, I will send it over your face.
Yeah.
God, you were a
That's
G,
crazy.
bro. That is insane. 15, I wish, man. Ah, that's so sick. You paved the way. They were definitely preying on your downfall, and you fucking showed them.
Fucking
Yeah,
give him
dude.
the
And
middle
then
finger.
after that, our Willie got involved in the Nitro Circus, and I was like, fuck yeah, like it's like now part of the Nitro Circus, which is, since then, probably shown scootering to more people than, any other,
Yeah,
promotion avenue for scooters,
Ryan's been the
and
biggest asset to Nitro Circus out of anybody they've brought on, like hands down. I
yep,
mean,
since Travis was in his heyday anyway, like
yeah.
Travis was definitely like, the main attraction early on, but as he's gotten older and they've brought more people on for sure, our Willie's definitely,
So that's who
the
got the
game
torch
changer.
passed to him. Like I feel like
Yeah,
Travis
and
passed that
dude,
torch
and
to Ryan.
he's like, I am so glad I wasn't old enough to like be on Nitro Circus at that time, because like our Willie is literally the best possible. Like, there's no way I could do half the shit that he does. So I'm like, these days, like at the time, I was like a little salty. I'm like, damn, I'm not old enough. He's old enough, and or it didn't happen for like a little while after that. But when they put him on, I was a little bit salty because I was like, damn, why didn't they hit me back up? They picked some other guy named Ryan.
Yeah.
Like looking back now, I'm like, there's no way. I'm happy with all the things that have happened for me, and there's like no way that I would have ever lived up to half this stuff that he's done. He's a total legend.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
even think about y'all both being Ryans. This
Yeah,
they
that's
forgot my
funny.
last name. It had to have been.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, things always work out in the end. Just have a little patience. That's one
Hell
thing
It'd be
that
yeah.
pretty great,
I can say
man.
to everyone.
That,
True,
that's
man.
that'd be funny
Don't
if
be in
there
a
was a
rush.
conversation like, "Were you that Ryan who fronted the mega?" And he was like, "Yeah, con. You don't remember
Yeah.
that? You're hired."
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely probably one of the highlights for me. I can't
That's
think of any
huge,
other like crazy like world first, but yeah.
That's crazy.
man. That wins.
Whew.
That's amazing. Um, well, what else we got, man?
Damn.
I guess
What was your favorite like scooter trip you've been on?
Favorite scooter trip? That's kind of tough. There's a lot of good ones, but I would have to
Maybe.
say maybe to Spain. I really like Spain. It's sick. Same thing with Andorra. I went to Andorra when I was in Spain. I went skiing and snowboarding there with Paul. If you know
Damn.
Paul Asenia, he is like scooter photographer. He doesn't, do too much in the scene these days, but we went out, we would take some awesome photos there. He had like crazy spots because it's Barcelona. And yeah, Spain is really cool. They have an awesome nightlife. So, get to experience a little inside and outside of scooters. And, that
hell
was
yeah.
always a memorable trip for me. And that same trip, I did a 540 flare on the Barcelona wave. That was like
Woo.
2013 or 14. So
Yeah,
that was
That's
early.
badass. Yeah.
I might. You think that's the first 5 flare on the seawall?
Oh, it was, yeah, at the time. Yeah, I was hyped on that. I was like, I want to be the first person to do this because like 5 flares, there's maybe like 4 or 5 people doing them when I first learned them. I wasn't like great at them, but I was like, I'm gonna do this shit on something that nobody has like touched and done like a 5 flare on. So I was like, up, seawall, got to be that because
In
I wanted a 5 flare on street, and I couldn't think of a better spot than there. Was not as good of a spot when I got there, like to 5 flare, but we made it work anyway.
hell yeah, money.
Oh man.
I want to go to Barcelona so bad
Dude,
one
one of
day.
the best cities in the world to ride, hands down. Like everything has curvature on it, so it's like it's built to shred.
Hell yeah.
That's what I've heard. It's the skate
Um,
park.
dude, did you ever try 900 flares?
No.
No,
Yeah, no, I didn't try them because I don't think I could actually like pull that one around.
it's
Um,
ridiculous.
yeah, I see that like Jordan Clark now does like 900 flare bars, which is absolutely nuts. So yeah, big props to Jordan for that one. He's mental. He's got some serious tricks that he does these days.
I just
That's
thought
true.
because it was like first 900, he was doing 5 flares. It had to have been a thought in the back of your head, like maybe, but
It was a thought. I've always like one trick that I didn't do that I've always wanted to is like and I got really close to it like a bunch of times, so I never landed it good. It was like a whip front feeble 9 fakie, like off of kind of a tall ledge. So like a 900 on street.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's
But
crazy.
yeah.
yeah,
Just
got
throwing the
close.
whip in.
Yeah, that's well, if you just do like a straight, like that's yeah, it's not good enough. You got to do something in, like even if it's a bar or something, got to
I like
link
the way
that
you think.
combo up, make it official.
Yeah,
Well, if I'm in a
true.
Up the
nine out, like
multiplier.
a bar or a whip in is like that's
Yeah.
light work,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
just it makes it harder to like set up if it's a quick ledge. But if you're gonna
Yeah,
grind for a second, then I was just curious. I'm like, I wonder if he didn't do the whip in if he stuck the nine.
no, I wish that would have been an awesome clip, but yeah, I still have like a ton of footage like ready to go, like that I've never released, but I'm just like waiting on this banger and haven't been riding for a while. So the banger might be waiting for a little while longer, but someday I'll do some type of other nine variation to add to the video. But I have a bunch of clips like saved up as like sort of like my last like proper,
Oh
video. I
yeah.
saved maybe like
You
three to
think
five
it's
years of like
your
my
Magnus
best.
Opum?
Uh Pretty much, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's I
Hell
would say
yeah.
it's probably one of the best videos that I have, like in terms of like variation and heavy clips. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'd say it's up there. I still have like other videos that I would say like maybe I was better at like riding vert in this one. Like I don't have any vert clips in this particular video, but like back in the day, I would do like crazy five tricks, like a couple feet out or something. So there's like definitely different eras that I had other skills, but this video I think is probably the most like realistic to how my riding was during the last like 3 to 5 years of me like really shredding hard.
Fuck yeah.
Sweet. That's dope. Honestly, I'm hyped to hear that. I
Yeah,
love it.
man, I wanted to put together a video. I was like always like putting out videos all the time. So like by the time I got to like, filming at spots and doing all that more often, I'm like, I really just like want to make a video that has like a little bit of everything, not just like film for a trip or film for this or, I gotta have a video out for, every quarter or so for the sponsors or something like that. It was just kind of like I want to put some really awesome footage together. It's like more for myself, just to have like an awesome video that, sort of encapsulates a lot of the elements of my riding in one place.
Yeah, 100%. That's super cool. Something for me is always like just something to show my kids or like something to look back on when I'm old, like
Yeah, I still look at
throw
videos
it
and stuff
together.
like all the time. I sit down at the end of the day, I'm like, damn, we did that. Like even like things that I do
Thing.
like now, like I'm like, yeah, I'll just go like throw a flare, and then later on I'm like, wow, I'm just like sitting at my desk all day. I haven't ridden in months, and then I just go like flare and then come back. It's like always kind of crazy. It's like you don't forget how to do that stuff. You think that you get old and like you can't, but you just can. It's still
Yeah.
there. It's just like the willingness to go out there and do it.
How old are
Hell
you now?
yeah.
28, turning 29 here shortly.
Yep.
So on the threshold of official scootering old man. Like I feel like once you hit 30 on the scooter, it's like you're in like old man category now. Like,
Yeah.
Veteran.
Dude,
yeah.
UFC fighters hit their prime at like 32. You could still be going up in the
I'd love
extreme
to see
sport
that in
world.
scooters, but I don't know. I have my doubts. Scootering is hard on the body, dude.
It
And
is.
like the
There's
talent is just
skaters
getting
doing it
younger and
though.
younger. Yeah, it's like if you really protected yourself when you were first starting out and didn't take like a whole lot of damage on the way up, and you like really train and like stretch before every session and like, try to be like an athlete about it from sort of the start, then I think you can make it last. Like you look at like BMX riders too, like Jamie Bestwick, but like I think just the type of riding that you do as you get older, maybe like transitions, right? The same way that like,
Yeah.
John Reyes, he translated his skills all into the flatland. He used to be able to do like all kinds of crazy tricks, but now he just focuses more on the ones that are low impact.
You had a crazy
you
double
know.
flare.
Yeah, right into the coping. That was a crazy double flare, dude. I remember just looking at it like he's about to double flare that, and then it's like, no, he just 1.5 flared that.
Yeah, he was feeling himself in that moment, bro, to try and double flare that quarter.
Back to
I think it
Dude,
was like a
handguns.
comp run too, maybe, or something. I don't
I
remember.
have no idea, but that song that he liked must have came on or something. He just felt
Yeah,
juiced. He's like, yeah, double flare seems like it's gonna work right there. We got it.
Right on the base shop, it's coming. Fuck
Didn't
yeah.
even ball up.
Yeah.
If I try
I
to
think
double
people
flare,
forget
that's
that
how
though.
it would go.
John used to be so fucking good at like so many different like kinds of riding. Like
Catalyst
just
part.
super, yeah, catalyst days, like super technical. He used to be able to do like all kinds of bri flip tricks. He would do backflips and all sorts of stuff. Like I think for him, like once he like hurt his knee bad, we were at like the Rye airfield contest one time, and he did a backflip over a hip, and that's like when he hurt his knee and had to get like surgery and all that. So after that, I think he was just like, yeah, I ain't about them flips and like this big air stuff no more. We're sticking to the technical side, and I don't
Straight
blame him for it,
ground.
But
Rounded.
yeah, like, well, as a scooter rider, good luck getting insurance or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
never had insurance. Everything was out of pocket. Like I wasn't covered by my parents or anything either. So when I got hurt, it was on me, So, as you get older, those things are considerations. You want to make sure that you're able to be taken care of, at least to like survive and like live in a
Yeah.
way where you're not like crippled, like there's
Yeah.
like a good chance of you actually like having long-term damage from some of this stuff. So, want to make sure that you can at least take care of that so you're functional. And for me, that was like the only goal. I slowed down when I got like a ton of concussions. I would send too hard, too much, too often. And because of that, my career was short. Some people are smarter about how they, play that, but it was just like, I just always wanted to have fun. I had a list of things that I wanted to do before I was done, and I got most of that out of the way. And, just had enough concussions where I was like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna take it easy. It's the last like concussion that I got, dude. It was a little while to come back from, it was a little scrambled up in there.
Yeah.
So
All bonked
yeah.
up.
Yeah,
Dude,
dude, head injuries are no joke.
I
Wear a helmet, kids.
yeah. No, they really aren't. I got sent a meme today actually. Kind of it was like instead of thinking I have a concussion, say this, I'm in my bonked up state. It's not I'm concussed, I'm all bonked up. My
Yeah,
brain
man.
is bruised. I've got a brain bonk, TM. I'm in my concussion era. It's serving gonked gourd. Getting my concussy slonked silly style. So we're just quirky individuals now. It's all good.
Yeah, man, adds character. That's what I like to
Exactly. Adds character. Dude, what was your favorite company that you rode for?
say. I don't know. That's kind of tough. I'd probably have to say like Envy back in the day. Like when
Okay.
they were in their prime, like when they first started out, and maybe like AOS V2 type era. That was like an awesome time to be on the team. Everyone was traveling. We had solid products that weren't breaking all the time for once. All of that was like parts were finally
Yeah.
starting to get
I
like
remember when those
reliable.
decks came out. That was
Dude.
the talk of my little small town. Was the Neo Crown and the silver decks.
Oh yeah.
The Ryan
Yeah, dude.
and the Jesse and the Jake. Those
Dude,
were
we had
the
a
best.
stacked ass team at that time. And, there was good things happening in the industry. Like there was, everything was picking up with the community. There was more events, there was more travel for riders, budgets were getting a bit better. So it was a pretty nice like time to, be riding and stuff. So because of that, I'd probably have to say NB. But I also did really like when I rode for Eagle Sport, and I would just get a fatty package of wheels in the mail. I'm like, oh yes, and I would just give all my old ones away to the kids at the skate park. Like after I was like done riding them, like I know I would
yeah.
ride them for a good bit. Like I got my use out of them, but I would always toss them to local homies that are like riding on their metal cores, or just had plastic cores that just broke on them all the time.
Yeah.
Hometown hero.
Yeah, that's the key.
Try to get back, man. There's so many good kids that have come from Newport over the years, like Tommy, John, Wyatt. There's just a lot of kids that have come from that skate park over the years and guys that I grew up with. And there's like that same thing is happening now for like kids that are riding there at Newport all the time still. And yeah, they'll be the next generation. But for some reason that, crazy ass park somehow, breeds like riders that just can throw it, it sends stuff on just about anything. It's like easy mode anytime they go anywhere else because you're riding on this crazy rough parking lot that's like partially downhill, partially tilted to the side. So you get on something level, you're like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
They make ramps like this. It's great.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy how local scenes breed riders. I mean, how certain parks and like communities, because it's like, I feel like all the best riders come from like these little select parks. And it's cool. Like I know Matt, like right now there's that one in Mass, there's Lynch, or like a bunch of kids ride that park. You got like Riley, Maltreese, and then Nils Crawford, both sides, street and park. Yeah, I feel like the community's everything. So you probably definitely helped with that. Just keeping the culture alive at the skate park.
Yeah, me and all the other guys, there was plenty to, go around when I was sort of like coming up there. And, there's guys that were younger than me that sort of just like took over once I headed out west. And, there's still guys there. Michael Pytel's always been a strong force with ECX local. But yeah, I think it's important for, communities to be communities, not just live online all the time because, you can actually like get some awesome friend groups and like, riders together to, eventually do great things and, the wider community, leave the local skate park someday and, make an impact somewhere else where that stuff doesn't exist yet, and from early on, like through ECX and through its old owner, the Michael Pytel these days, but back in the day, it was ran by a guy, Mike Lashbrook. And, he would always make it a point for us to like take like a weekend trip and stuff like with like a trailer. We had like Vitamin Water as a sponsor back in the day because he had a skate shop and sold vitamin water. So they would hook us up with like free drinks, so it felt official. And we would go to skate parks and just do like little demos and stuff for people that, never heard of scooters before. We just set up some music and, ride with people and, things like that. I don't think, happen as often these days when people are like, oh, I could just post clips online or, companies are just getting, footage sent to them. It's a lot more effort to like go out there and do that stuff. But, it's definitely like high impact in the way that like kids will forget that clip next week that was really popular, but they're not going to forget like riding with some like pro rider at their local park if they've never experienced it before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking internet.
Fucking up.
It's great and it sucks at the same time. It's a love-hate relationship, man, because it's done great things and opened up so many opportunities for people. It's just like, I think we've reached like the pendulum has swung as far as it's going to the one way. And, it's kind of swinging back a bit where people are going to probably push to do more local events and, do more things offline again. So, yeah, I sort of hope that we move towards like just like a bit more balance, use all the online tools for the things they're great for, but, try and do what you can when it's not like too costly to have like, some sort of like physical events or like get togethers, things like that. They don't have to be super formal. Like back in the day, it was just like, someone's got a barbecue grill and, I got some charcoal and someone's got some burgers. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's make a flyer. It's a ride day, guys. Barbecue. Everybody gets burgers. You know, it doesn't have to be nothing crazy, but, there were some good, like, shops and parents and people in the sport back in the day when it was a lot smaller. I think you would see that sort of thing a lot more because, there wasn't as much on the line either. Right. Like, people weren't relying on like the industry as like a full-time job, but now it's grown to the size where it kind of requires people to work in full-time jobs in the industry. So they can't just like, be pulled away from that to do other things unless it's actually like, moving things forward in some measurable way, so it's just like less likely, I think, for those things to happen unless like, the local smaller, shops and brands are, doing that at sort of the grassroots level.
Yeah.
But I see more of that happening. So that's always good.
Yeah. I definitely think you said it right. Like the pendulum is swinging back, and I definitely hope we can just get a good balance of obviously taking advantage of the online opportunities, but also giving back and like putting on some dope Saturdays for the community and the homies and whoever else that wants to pull up and just have those memories and those experiences to look back on as well, instead of seeing a clip and it just fade. 100%.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Jams and
something
ride
worth.
days, making friends,
Yeah.
just having fun, teaching someone else how to do a trick that they've been trying for a while. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of good things that come from that.
Yeah.
And, it's cool for the kids that want to compete and be like the top riders. I was there, but even when I was doing that, like, I think I enjoyed, just like the gatherings and stuff like that more so than, the contest. Like, I like the contest because I got to see all the people, that's an excuse for the company to send me somewhere. But, had companies been interested in just sending people to get togethers, I would have gone to those, just as much,
Yeah.
if not more,
Yeah.
if that was the
Yeah.
option. But
Yeah.
not really
Definitely.
how things work.
True.
Social aspect is my favorite part for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
man.
probably the only reason I still scooter. Maybe not the only reason, but it's the reason why I live in Texas and why we started this whole thing. So you meet
Yeah, man.
people you like.
Still love the
My
community.
best
Like, I don't
friends
ride all the time,
and
but
steering.
I'll still go scoot with friends, or if like riders are in town, let's go, cruise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still about it. I don't have to be like, posting clips all the time to be like cool enough to ride with everyone. I think people think that that's how it goes. Like when you're like, done, it's like, oh, I've hung up the towel and I can't like be a part of that or ever do that. It's like
Yeah.
you just go, live your life and ride when you want. It's like now you just don't have an obligation or a pressure to do all that stuff.
That's one
And
thing
that's sort of
I've
the way I take it.
never
Like I enjoy it
understood.
more now.
I have never understood whenever I see a post on someone's Instagram like, man, it's been a good run, guys. I'm done scootering. I quit. I just don't see anything left for it. It's like people make those posts and it's like, bro, you can go live your life, get a job,
Yeah.
do other things, and then just ride when you get the
Yeah.
opportunity. You don't have to like publicly announce that you're no longer going to be scootering and like quote unquote
That's like an
retire.
attention seeker
It
type
is,
shit,
man,
bro.
and
It's like,
it's
It's
le-
partially that, but it's like partially like their internal projection of the world, right? Because they're thinking in their head, and probably have had this dream of like, I'm going to do this, this, and this through this, scootering thing, right? I'm going to be
yeah.
able to make a living full time and whatever. So like when they like announce like, yeah, hey, I'm leaving, and they're not like trying to like stick around just to have fun or just be a part of the community or whatever. It's because they had expectations as to, what it was going to provide to them on the other end of it, right? So I think a lot of times it's just them like putting their dream to bed, like this isn't going to happen.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
walking away from this. I didn't, maybe I accomplished a lot of the things that I wanted to, but it didn't really end up where I thought. So, you know, I'm taking a step back, guys, but it's kind of
yeah.
a post for themselves at the same time too.
It is. It's a sympathy, like, oh, we'll miss you, bro. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just, yeah, man. I feel like if you're in scootering for some, obviously have dreams and you should chase them, but you should get into scootering for the people that you're gonna meet, good times and
Yep.
memories, and just to like do something fun where you can learn and
Yep.
progress, learn like it's not about
But
anything bigger. You shouldn't get into it because you think you're going to be some star, or you're going to get like flown around and be
yep.
treated like a king. It's scootering.
No
Treat it like scootering.
expectations.
No
Yeah,
expectation.
and I think that's and if you want to be sponsored and do all those things, definitely pursue it and pursue it strongly, right? Like the only reason I got to do like some of those things is because I was that annoying little kid. I'd like, I'd find the team manager's email or something somehow. I'm like, hey, I really need some parts. I'm broke over here. I got some awesome videos. I'll send you these videos. Can I be sponsored? I would do that all the time. Or, like that's how my foot got in the door places. And, I think it's fine to do that, but, to expect things from it, I think is sort of the, where people go wrong, to,
Yeah.
think about what it's going to be when you get all those things or, when you're able to do that. Like for me, it was always like a vehicle. Like I did it because I wanted to, ride more and, do cool things and whatever. I wasn't like, I can't wait to do these things so I can go on these trips and whatever. It wasn't ever about like what it ended up being. It was always about just like, I'm having fun with my friends. We're filming
Yeah.
things. And then eventually, the seriousness of it sort of caught up with me where I'm like, hey, I'm working all the time and making a decent living. And now you're asking me to like post stuff on my Instagram like every single day with like copy and paste quotes and things like that. It's like, I came here to be a writer, not like a mouthpiece. Although I understand like the need to sell things and the need to be, effective in direct marketing and all that. But it's just, for me as a rider, that wasn't why I ever got into it. So once all of that started coming along and things got bigger, I was just like, I'll just work on the business side of it. So I don't have this, sort of muddy water of like work and play, because I think too, like something that is sort of a pet peeve of mine is like when these companies call themselves like, it's this family or that family, it's like, no, your family doesn't leave you when some guy with more followers comes along next week. Your family doesn't, cut you out when the budget gets a little low. That's setting up some really bad expectations and feelings for, kids that can't really, I think, distinguish at that age yet. It's something that we all experience. And you're like, wow, it just happens that fast. It's just business. It's like we're family last week. I think it should be very clear that you're
your
here
brother
to do a particular...
one-ups your trick and then you get disowned.
Yeah.
Low social scores and shit.
Dude, out of the family, you're gone.
Yeah. Sorry.
You got to be posted on at least two different places every month.
And I think like if riders want to call each other family, that's fine. But like for like companies and teams to like make that like the team atmosphere, I think is like disingenuous, right? Because it gives riders this idea of like, we're all just here loving and having fun together, and it's such a warm, fuzzy feeling, blah, 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 and, we're so cool. No one else can, we're on the team together, it becomes a cliquey thing. And, at the end of it, then, people end up with really hurt feelings, or they're like, yo, like that was messed up, like why did this, and this happen? It's like, well, it was the relationship and the engagement you were in the whole time. They just dressed it up with like, your family, you're so great, and then next week when the numbers aren't so hot, or they find out like, hey, we spent way too much or over invested in this kind of deck, all of a sudden they're like, hey, you need to do more, like, and the brands aren't like mature enough to have like the size and growth and forecasting and all of that, I think, to effectively manage, some of those hard changes in, sort of the volume that's happening in the sales for the industry. And I think that'll come with time. But, for me, I think that that's something that could be improved. Our events could be better.
Sounds like a lot of these scooter companies need to start working on their profit margins. The boys need to start crunching their numbers. I don't even think it's just like, it's just, I feel like a lot of scooter companies, they don't seem to be savvy on the business.
Well, here's what I think, right? Like, I think the business side, like, it's always been weird for me, right? Because like riders have their, sort of like general gripes about, the business guys. They make so much money, they don't give nothing to the riders. They could afford this 10 times over. Look at the sales, like that's the rider spiel. Then you have like the companies are like, they don't understand how any of the business stuff works. They're not in an office all day, and that's where a lot of it stops, right? I've always been the guy that I'm like sort of sitting on the middle of the fence. I'm like, there's a lot of opportunities on both sides here. And, I think that a lot of times too, like a lot of the companies have owners and, people involved in the business that are so passionate about it. They're not able to objectively just see it like a business, because there's like people that they care about involved, and they try to make it like a family when, that's how they go off track a lot, right? Because it's a family, it's a, it's a brand. We got to look cool. It's a fun thing, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, wait, what about sales? What about sales? We're sinking, so that's like sort of where that comes from, I think. So yeah, just like ownership and people involved with the businesses taking it and looking at it like a real business, instead of just like, we're having fun and doing all these things. That's like, yeah, we can do those things, but we need to do the business stuff well so those things can happen, right? Like that's why I've gotten more into the business stuff over the years, because I know that is what's going to allow for, more travel, more budgets, more communication and, collaboration between brands to make bigger things happen that, don't normally come from a single brand or, a local shop or whatever, right? Something that requires larger resources for the community to come together.
Yeah. No, fucking love it, man. You're you understand how the game works, and it's like I feel like a lot of people don't. I don't. I mean, I don't know everything, but yeah, if you're buying a product,
I've had a lot of great experiences and a lot of bad experiences. And if I can say one thing, if someone comes in hot and heavy, really excited about how they're going to make you a superstar, it's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Or they have bright ideas about how this brand is going to, just really take off. The faster they come in, the faster they go down. It's like any of those parabolas you see on, a chart somewhere. The faster it goes up, the faster it comes down. So the best relationships are built slowly over time. Be patient. there's going to be a lot of days where it seems like shit is not working right. Why am I doing this? I'm in the wrong place. That's how you know you're probably in the right place, right?
Yeah.
If you're questioning it, but you still are somehow showing up.
It comes
Right.
down to
And
expectations at the end of the day. It's like I work in
yeah,
sales as well. And like that's the biggest thing is like you never want to overpromise anything. Cause it's like even if you
yes,
do a good job and you overpromise, you're still doing less than what you promised. It's like
it's way
set
better
low
to over deliver.
expectations and over deliver. Like never
Yes.
set stupid high expectations, do a good job, but they're still not whatever the fuck you told them they were gonna be.
Yeah,
It never
but just
lives.
from like a sponsorship perspective for the kids though too, like people that are just like getting some of their first sponsors, how to like recognize who's going to actually like, treat you well, ask good questions about like what, their team is like, what do you do to help us, grow our, profile online, or what do you do to help, the team travel, or do we have like monthly team calls? Like, do we ever communicate? Like, is there regularity to any of those things? Because like what I found is like the more relaxed like a company is, like, feels great and all, but eventually you run into problems, right? So for me, like if I were like younger starting out, I'd try to find a team that has some type of, structure in place. Like, hey, we get on a team call once a month. Maybe we have a couple like asks or expectations, but we're helping you achieve those. We're not just like, sending in, the homework, right? It's like showing up, having your homework sent into class and not showing up to class. It's like the class is kind of important too.
Yeah, 100%. Um, well, hey, Austin, you think it's a good time to transfer into Phil's?
I think it's a good time to transfer into Phil's.
All right, yeah,
Phil's top 10.
we got a segment
Shout
we
out to
run.
Phil.
Shout out
Yeah.
Phil for these
Shout out
questions.
Phil.
Shout out Phil,
Yeah.
The dude.
That
the
dude.
man, that guy. Yeah, thank you,
uh,
Phil. Phil's top 10, number one, starting off at the top. If you want to let him know, Austin.
who is the Michael Jordan of scootering to you?
Jesse Macaluso or Tyler Bonner, one of
Oh
the two.
shit. Okay. Couple fucking goats for sure. I wish Tyler Bonner still rode,
Not to
honestly.
say that they're actually the best of
Big
all time,
segment.
but they were the best of
Yeah.
all time for me, like when I
Yeah.
was coming up.
Yeah, it's all subjective, like obviously MJ is not, or like someone could say he's not, or they could say he is the best. So that's
But if
kind
we
of
were
what
going to
we're
like
just
apples to
looking
apples,
for. Yeah.
I would probably say Jordan Clark as the actual Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan was like, top competitor, got a lot of rings, the whole deal.
Hmm.
So I would say probably like Jordan Clark in like a realistic sense. But for me, T-Bone and
Yeah.
Jesse Mack back in the
Yeah.
day.
Fuck yeah. Tyler Bonner was my favorite, honestly. Growing up, 100%.
Yeah, those
Getting
end up videos just like steezing out Stan, Kerry Mossbrucker, Corey Mossbrucker,
Jesse
the
Aikita
dudes.
too. Liked
Oh,
him a
dude,
lot. He was the
Jesse
goat.
was he's still the goat. I love Jesse. No one can mess with his peg tricks even after all these years. He was hitting like
You were up
14 rail.
there. You were up
I would not toothpick
there.
14 rails though. That was something
Yeah.
that only Jesse would do. He would do tooth hangers
Dude.
down, like down rails that are like 14 plus. Like I was like, dude, that's all
Yeah.
you. You can
Yeah.
you can do those. I'll be
Yeah.
filming over here.
Tooth predators too. I feel like you would do like a tooth over tooth, right? Like
Yeah, dude.
he was on some nutty shit. I want to go watch some of his videos again, honestly.
Yeah,
But
classics for sure.
yeah.
yeah. Number two, we got worst trend. What do you think the worst trend is in
Uh,
scootering?
I don't know, shit talking, clickiness,
Oh, come on, man.
drama is the worst trend. That's a
True.
constant though. That's
Yeah.
everywhere all the time. That's something that I enjoy not being a part of anymore. It's nice to just like enjoy things from a distance. Like, it's like being the parent that's like sitting in the crowd on the stands. You don't hear all
Mhm.
the shit talking that's happening on the course, or like,
Yeah.
people getting into things. It's
Yeah.
just like, oh, it's nice. The kids are riding. It's beautiful.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's solid. Um, Number three, we got the most underrated rider to look for. If you got one, I know you said you haven't been in the scene much, but maybe a local homie or something if you've seen him around. I don't know.
Um, that's kind of a tough one because yeah, there are some local guys that are on the come up. Um, that's a toughie
They'll
though.
get a shout out on the 10-4 Instagram,
Yeah.
whoever you want to put on. They might get like two,
I
3 followers from this, so
They might.
choose wisely.
Trevor Smith, I think he's like really solid if he sticks with it.
Dude, he's sick. Trevor is so sick. I was at
Yeah,
Woodward
I'll
when
have
he
to
was there.
peep
He
him.
came to the Austin Jam as well. Trevor's really good.
Really?
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
he's got some
redhead, right? Kind of rides ski,
curly hair.
curly red hair. Yeah, rides for
Yep.
ECX.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Trevor was at the Jam.
Yeah, Trevor rips, and I think he's young still too, so he has a lot of time, and he's like already like he's sending some pretty big tricks, and
He's really good at
really
vert.
ripping.
I when I was
Really
at
good.
Woodward, I saw him
Yeah,
do like a front 540 air on the big
yeah,
vert they got out there. It's good.
Damn.
yeah. He kind of reminds me of like the way I rode like when I was younger. Like I did all of the park and transition stuff. I think if he sticks with it, he'll eventually round out with all the other ledges, rails, street stuff, sending some gaps. But yeah, he's just got tricks and consistency, some good style.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
remember him.
he was at the Jam, and I remember Trevor, if you're watching this, I did not say hi, and I remember we rode at Woodward, and I felt bad about that. So, Trevor, you're sick. Um, number 4 is, did you learn tail whips or bar spins first?
Tail whips definitely. I was rough on the bar spins early on, and I feel like bar spins are still hard with like the old razors. It's just like way too light and way too small. You're like
Oh
trying
yeah.
to like
Yeah,
rotate your hands around themselves. So it was always more of a throw bar, or I'd actually have to like hold it halfway to like grab the other one. There was no tossing or handoff, or
yeah,
the
no
scooter would just
momentum.
like disappear. It was so light.
Yeah,
Something I always thought. I'm like, there's no way these guys could do like a triple bar like on this fucking razor handoff.
Dude,
It's
some people are
so
really good
hard
at
to
them.
do one.
I have
Yeah,
a
that's where.
tip for anybody with very light bars. This is a hack I've figured out because I had tie bars for a little bit, but you can get steel tape at a golf store because like people use steel tape to weigh down their golf clubs. And if you put them on the end of your bars, they throw like steel if it's aluminum or titanium. So
Yeah. For me, the razors were just like what, like 6 or 8 inches wide.
that is
Like it
part
was
of it.
just like it was so weird. It wasn't really that it was too light for me. It was just like so hard to actually get a good dialed
I mean,
motion
if they
in.
are like 14 wide, then yeah, that makes sense.
The
I
razor
wasn't in the pro model
foldables, like
age.
that's
I
what
mean
I'm
the
talking
foldy age.
about. Not like a pro model or a model, like
Yeah, just
a
the Razor
40.
foldables. I think they come stock as like 13 inches across is like the size.
Damn,
Oh
those
man.
shits are
I know
crazy.
that because the
Those are
first One Piece
crazy.
bars I ever ordered were 18 high by 13 wide. So that tells you how long ago. That's back when people loved to ride their scooters like hunched over, and that was a normal thing. So my first One Pieces were like miniature, and I paid an arm and a leg for them. They were like $110, and they came shipped from Estonia. Mattis Cuck with Wii scooters back in the day.
Never even
18
heard
by
of that.
13.
But
That's
shout out.
crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Um,
Yeah, I
ne-
waited 2 months in the mail for them things.
damn.
Kids got it easy. You just walk in the shop, pick that stuff up, or you get like 2 day shipping or something. 2 months. Remember that.
They don't
Next
know
time
how
your
good
stuff's
they have
coming
it.
slow in the mail.
Yeah. I feel like we've already talked about this a lot, but the next question is a suggestion to further the sport.
Event organizers and things like that, there's a lot of gaps to fulfill. So I would just say like riders that are, either looking for something beyond the riding to do, or people that are just on the come up over time, just think about the things that you want to, fill gaps in, right? And develop a skill in that area and try and fulfill it, and at the very least, you'll learn a bunch of stuff, even if it doesn't work out. Like I've tried all kinds of things that have like failed, started and stopped, all kinds of like little clothing brands, or I did sunglasses at one point. But in every single one of those experiences, I learned stuff that I'm not going to do for other businesses that I work with, right? And I learned how things work, and got my hands dirty enough to get an idea of what those things are. So you know event organizers, if you want to start training yourselves out there, that would be fantastic, because there's all kinds of I think ways that can be done, right? Because you'll have like, I know there's new like World Roller Sports is starting to come on the scene now. They made like a post the other day that everyone was hyped on, since all the drama with the other event series and the World Championships and all that. But just like people that aren't I feel like both on the business side and on like the event side, there isn't people that are like used to be riders but aren't like, loyal to a particular brand. People that just love scooters that don't have like any affiliation and just want to make great things happen. I think that that is definitely what's going to help our sport move into the future. And other than that, it's just time. Be patient. Things aren't going to happen overnight. It's ebbs, it flows. There's good times, there's slow times, and you just try and put some stuff back during the good times, which scooter brands aren't that great at up to this point. But it's also because we, operate in a market, that changes so much, boom and bust cycles all the time, in terms of, once a company's finally getting some traction and some, momentum behind them and stuff, then all of a sudden, the economy just goes sideways for a bit and people are like, oh, I can't afford any parts. And then teams slim down and they got to like start from scratch again. Right. Like that's happened a lot of times. So, be understanding of those things, try to understand why they're happening and how you can help during those times. I know it's tough to like hear like, hey, like sometimes it comes in the form of pressure, from like sponsors or from the industry, like, hey, you got to help out. Things are going bad right now, whatever. I know it sucks to hear that, especially probably when you're looking forward to what's next and not like scaling back. But, the brands and the people that are involved with these companies, they need that help during that time. And if you actually make it through with them, then usually, you're going to have a great place and, doing whatever it is that you've been helping them out with, they're going to remember that later on, and they're going to know that you love doing it, even when times suck. If you're ready to jump ship as soon as like something changes, then, you'll do that until the end of the time when, you're not interested in being a rider anymore, but
Yeah.
I think relationships are key and you can learn a lot more by, being patient and sitting still for a while.
Yeah.
Too true, man.
Fuck yeah. Well
Patience
said.
is such a virtue. That's something I keep learning myself is like just shut up and keep working and do whatever and just wait on it for sure. So
Yeah, I was
I
impatient as a
think,
kid. I just wanted things to happen. So I'd like pursue them like, full force and like I would get things done and everything. But, there's a lot that I picked up. I kind of had that mindset through some of it, but I didn't really realize it until like afterwards. I didn't make it like an intentional practice. I just kind of like did it. And then I like realized I was doing that like maybe when I was like, I started doing it as soon as I started traveling, but I didn't really pick up on it and try and make it like a habit to do that until I was like in my early 20s, when I'm like, wow, like these are things that, I should be writing this down somewhere because there's so much happening all the time, especially if you are at like, top level pro rider. You're seeing all kinds of new people all the time. You're talking to hundreds and thousands of people online. Things come and go very quickly. So, those little nuggets of information you get that can help you in the future or an experience that changes your mind about, how you think about something or, relate to people. Like that stuff's way bigger and will last well into your future, even beyond, riding.
Yeah.
true,
All
true, man.
right. Well, Austin, what did Phil put down for number 6?
I think it is, what is your favorite video? Like favorite scooter
Oh,
video? Either that you've watched or filmed.
kids got to see this. The Jesse Mack video that has like the FCP remix from Fall of Troy in there. I think it's Jesse Mack mini video. Let me search it.
Yeah, go for it.
Jesse Mack Lisa. Yeah, this video was a heavy hitter back in the day. This is the one that made me think like, whoa, like
Yeah,
scooters are pretty cool, and this guy is the best.
hell yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah,
think if I've even seen that one, but he was one of those dudes for sure. I think Matt
yeah.
Ogle
Well,
put
like,
me onto him or someone. I was like, oh yeah, this guy rips. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure
it's pretty late.
yeah, the first flare, TIC David. Wow, this is so long ago, dude. 16 years. MySpace minivid too. I think this is the one.
Just got its driver's license.
Sorry, no, that's not the one. All I gotta hear is the first little like intro clip. Oh yeah, 360 quad whip spine. That's another crazy clip from him 17 years ago.
Killer.
Yeah, he's had some pretty crazy videos, but the one mini video that he has where the FCP remix is in it, um, and a lot of his older videos, they still blow my mind because people don't backflip like coping to coping spines that are like 8 foot tall still to this day. he was like doing like flip triple whips over, what is essentially a vert spine that on like A models and pro models.
Yeah.
People don't do that on like dialed ass scooters today. Like I have no idea how, any of that actually happened.
I'm not flipping a
That's
spine.
ridiculous. No,
Definitely a 8-foot one, maybe a 4-foot.
no.
8
Something I
foot,
can
I'm
gap the
good.
flap, maybe.
Yeah, I'll land flat. I'm not trying to fucking nosedive on a spine at all.
Oh, I think this is the one. Oh, I know which one it is. Jesse Macaluso mini video 3. It's on Matt Dibble's channel 17 years ago. There it is.
We talking Vimeo or YouTube?
Oh, it's a YouTube video.
Word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
extra proper. Can I share my screen? I'll show you what the caption looks like.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
share it.
you should be able to.
We'll
for
throw it
sure.
up on that TV too, up top in the post.
Oh, hell
Share
yeah.
screen.
Yeah, make your little timestamp, Paxton.
I will.
Can you enable
Gonna
me
be
to share real
a
quick?
new addition, a new level up to the podcast. Is
Should
going to be at
be
least
something on
Minecraft
Paxton's
parkour on the
end.
screen.
I'm not sure.
There's going to be something to keep them engaged. But
Yeah,
it's-
that Jesse Mac video is proper.
okay. Well, yeah, I'll throw it up either way. It'll be playing in the background. But hell yeah, the next one is if you could go on a trip anywhere for scootering, where would you go and who would you bring? You can bring 3 people.
Oh man, playing favorites out here. Let me see. Where would I go? That's tough because I'm not sure whether I go back to somewhere that I already know that I really liked or somewhere else. But I feel like I've got to travel to like a lot of the places that I want to, and I definitely wouldn't travel to Russia these days. I haven't been there, but I don't think that's a good move at the moment.
It's just
So
fairyland, though.
yeah, maybe somewhere in South America, maybe like Brazil, like Rio. Like I think that would be like really cool.
Yeah.
And I'd probably bring a lot of the guys from like the old MD team. It'd probably be like Vince, Jesse, and I don't know, maybe I'd probably bring like Dan Barrett because he's always been, homiest of the homie. Or I'd bring Coop. I don't know. It's tough. It's hard to narrow it to 3 people. I know where we'd go. It's just like homies would have to be buying their own plane tickets.
Yeah.
Well, this is hypothetical. This is everything, all expenses
All
paid for.
Yeah.
That pipe
No
dream.
wars going on, no nothing. It's
Yeah.
just clear skies.
Oh
Good
yeah,
vibes.
Rio. I'd probably go to Rio. Rio seems pretty sick. I've
Okay.
never been to like South America at all, and it seems like there's a lot of hills there. So I imagine spots are probably just everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. Good scenery either way.
Yeah, B-roll will be impeccable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Some toucans.
Let's see.
Well, yeah. Next one, number 8, Austin. You can read it off.
Who's your favorite person to party with?
A party with. Oh, that's tough. I don't know, maybe Jason Beggs, Jesse Aikita, T-Bone. They're always my favorite friends to party with. Yeah, me and Jesse. I would probably say Jesse. Me and Jesse had some pretty wild times.
Hell yeah. Dope. Yeah, man. Him and Jason Beggs. That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Next one, number 9. What's your favorite moment in scootering? Another heavy hitter, but
favorite moment. I don't know, like the going to like maybe the for me or like for scootering, like my favorite moment within scootering or like my favorite thing that I've seen happen in like all of scootering.
You both start out
we've
with
never
yours.
really specified.
Yeah,
you could go either way. If you have one for both, like I think everybody would be down to hear it for sure. Either way.
Because like for me, like I think that the coolest thing to see like within scootering and like see happen for scootering is just like being accepted into like different places. So like when Woodward first became like a thing, right? Because like growing up playing Dave Muir BMX, religiously and knowing the soundtracks and everything and going there in person and knowing that scooters could ride there, that was always like a huge goal, for a lot of us that started out before any of that was there. So being a part of that and helping that happen, And then the first world event, that was pretty official back in the day. I was like, damn, this is like, someday this will be in the Olympics. And now that's like actually like legitimate talks and stuff. So, some of those milestones were really cool.
Yeah.
And then for myself, favorite moment, it's definitely the front flip. Like it's hard to beat the front flip
Hell
moment
yeah.
with Travis.
Yeah.
That
Fuck
was
yeah.
super surreal. That and meeting like T-Bone. I really enjoyed meeting T-Bone back in the day.
That's
He's
awesome.
still a homie. But yeah, I wanted to XW4 to like add like a small story to it. I went to XW4 with like Logan Fuller. I wasn't old enough to drive, and we would like switch spots driving for a while on the way up to XW because I lived in Delaware, like the East Coast. He lived in like Central PA. He drove all the way to Delaware, and then we went all the way to Buffalo, New York. We were like really young at the time. He had just like gotten his license, and yeah, it was just, crazy road trip. Arrive at Matt Dibble's house at like 3 a.m. Everyone's already passed out. There's beer cans everywhere. They're still playing beer pong when we get in there, but half of the people are like already done. And then I stay up and I play beer pong with, I think it was like John Reyes and T-Bone for like the rest of the night. And then, we're trying to fall asleep as the sun's coming up. And yeah, we ended up, shredding the next day, but we like barely slept at all. T-Bone won best trick, or no, I won best trick. T-Bone got first in the contest. I got fourth, so like, even though we were all like partying hard, I got to meet homies and everyone just absolutely ripped it the next day.
Yeah.
So it was just, awesome intro to like being one of the first like legit contests with real pros that I've watched before.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
That sounds dope.
That's
I
awesome.
wish I could play beer pong with T-Bone.
Yeah, homie.
Yeah, that's sick. But yeah, I think the last number 10 is who influenced you as a rider?
Let's say like locally BMX riders did a lot. Like I had a lot of BMX tricks because I would just like ride with, you know, pro and like mid-level BMXers all the time. So I'd
I
do a
can
lot of
see
air
it in your
tricks, big
style.
transition.
Yeah.
And, I've always had a love for that stuff. I've always been more of like a BMX rider more than like a skater type of scooter rider, like more on like the big air tricks and flying around with style than the technicals. I only got more into, the technical stuff later on. But yeah, BMX riders, the Northwest guys, the way that like just seeing the way that they like aired and gapped on things, I was just like, God, I need to learn how to do that. It just looked like so much fun. And yeah, that was sort of the early inspirations there. Jesse Macaluso on the East Coast. You had Tyler Bonner, all the guys like, Dan back in the day, because he rode totally different. Like I just enjoyed a little bit of everything. So there's some guys I looked at like, damn, I want to do that. And there's other guys I looked at like, damn, I'm never going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't have the
Same.
ambition to, but it's
Yeah.
really cool to see that,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Can respect anything.
Yeah, you just look
Absolutely.
at it and know it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, real recognized real for sure.
Yeah.
So you said earlier you started on a skateboard. I'm surprised. Like, did you ever like actually have a bike or like BMX yourself? Or was it kind of like just when you started scootering, that's when you were kind of like, oh, I want to be more like a bike where I'm on this scooter and there really wasn't many scooter riders to look at, or like what's kind of the correlation there?
Yeah, I just happened to be riding a skateboard when I first was introduced to scooters. So like I wasn't really like into skateboards that much. Like I would go ride like after, school every day. There's like a local skate shop that had a mini ramp in it. It's like 2 foot tall, but just enough to go back and do some stalls and some fun stuff on there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't too heavily into that. And then, the scootering came along and I rode like BMX back in the days, like racing. Like I used to be
Yeah.
like
Oh,
Okay.
hell yeah.
ABA and MBL,
Mhm.
so I'd do like bike races. I was pretty good. Like I won some of like the nationals and like the Red Line Cup was like a big thing in ABA. So I
Yeah.
won a couple of those different things when I was younger. And then, my parents had to get jobs, so I couldn't travel to do that stuff anymore. So that's when I got into skating and eventually scooters. And from there, I just like I never liked staying on the ground, so I naturally
Yeah.
gravitated towards the BMX tricks. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm floating. I just want
Yeah.
to fly through the air and do some big tricks.
Yeah.
Hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah. That's dope. Did you ever like do any transition, like try and air the skateboard, or it was kind of just like sticking to the stalls and stuff?
I was a mini ramp champ, man, dude. I
Yeah.
just back and
Yeah.
forth. If we're stalling, I can
Yeah.
do some like still today. I could probably like a kick flip into a little tail slide and drop in. Do some blunt fakies and things.
Yeah.
Like I've actually like their amateur skate contest in Newport one year. I won that. So I was like, hey, like just on
Yeah,
like the
that's
mini ramp
sick.
side of things. But when it came to transition, that was only the scooters. You put something that's like a bowl or anything curved around me as far as skateboards go, I'm
Yeah,
stacking.
I feel that. Same. I
Yeah.
can't carve, but I can ride a half pipe for sure.
Yeah, I'm in the same
Yes,
boat,
sir.
dog.
That's where the
Mini
fun's
ramp
at.
champ.
That and flat
Yeah,
ground.
yeah,
Anything other than that to me
Amen.
is just like total danger zone. Even flat
yeah,
ground is like
yeah.
pretty
Flat
dangerous for me on
rail,
skateboards these days. Yeah.
maybe a flat ledge, but
Yep.
yeah, dope.
Um, Dude, well, yeah, I mean, that's all of our questions. I'm fucking stoked on what we've talked about. Do you have anything
Yeah,
else like
yeah.
you'd like
This
to
is awesome.
share or some knowledge?
um, have fun, have fun, dummy. That's the
Amen.
moral of the
Yeah,
story. There's things you can learn and pick up along the way, but don't stress either side of it too much. Like on the business side, those things will come in time. Don't rush that. And don't do anything other than just try and have fun and meet people, be nice to people, and you'll get where you want to go. The world wants to help you succeed. Just
yeah,
you know put what you put out is what you're going to get back. Even if it doesn't happen instantly. That circles back to our earlier mantra of patience. A
yeah,
little bit of patience. If you work hard and know what you want, you will get there, right? And the things you
Hmm.
need to pick up along the way is filters and feedback. What do people tell you all the time about yourself? What do people like or not like about you? How do you work on those things? And filters. How do you make better decisions about things? When certain things come up, what patterns have you experienced in your past that'll help you make a better decision now? And if you can do just those, sort of like four things, know what you want, work hard at it, you know, filter, your ideas or decisions as they're coming in, and, get feedback from other people around you. You'll get where you want to be. You'll have a happy life, and, you'll have awesome people around you to join you for the ride.
Oh yeah.
fuck yeah.
Amen.
Spoken like a champ, honestly.
Well, dude,
Thanks,
thank you
man.
so much for coming on. We appreciate you.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking
This is
sick.
awesome.
Yeah.
Likewise, boys,
Episode
appreciate the
something.
service you're doing for the industry, just getting some thoughts from
Trying.
different people, showing off the
Yeah,
personalities, and hopefully bringing the community together a little bit more, so we can actually
yeah,
talk about things and something other than, I like memes, I like comments, but
yeah,
it's sometimes a bit more effective to, talk things out and,
Well,
hear
yeah,
ideas in their depth. So appreciate you, boys.
yeah.
trying
Also,
to
even
break
just
these. Sorry, just trying to
no,
break
you're
these
good.
little runts out of the short form content.
Yeah, and just let them like hear about history and how scootering used to be because it's not really documented. So we really like enjoy talking to the people who have been around and the people who were before Instagram and all that shit, especially sponsored, and just like how that's changed drastically from then to now. And it's definitely just something we're interested to put out there. So we're hyped to do it, and especially when people come on. So
Oh yeah.
but
Appreciate it,
Well,
yeah,
man. Well, that's awesome to hear.
dude,
yeah, dude.
Can't
episode
wait to see more of
something.
these things too.
You
I
don't
actually got to
even know
look
the
back.
number.
I saw you did one with Hunter recently. I haven't watched that yet. I gotta have a listen.
He was
Dude, you
funny. Yeah, his was
He's
sick,
also one of my
honestly.
favorite
Yeah,
guys to
yeah.
party with.
Yeah,
hell
yeah,
yeah. Oh, bro, with
yeah,
the
Yeah,
stories he told us, I can imagine. Fuck.
yeah. I wish
yeah,
I could have
yeah.
seen him in his heyday for sure.
My
We had
recommendation
some.
is listen on Spotify because that's where the audio is good. The one on YouTube is a little. We had
Yeah,
some technical difficulties, but Spotify's coming through Chris.
yeah,
All good, worth the
yeah.
effort.
We're just
Yeah,
now dialing it in
Yeah.
for sure.
Dude, I don't even, I still got a background. Both of y'all got your shit cropped, and I'm a square right now, so it's a work in progress.
Shout out the
I'd be
hey
garage
man,
door.
it's
for,
always a work in progress, man. It ain't
them,
finished till we're done. Till
and
you hang up the towel and things. That's the way I look
Yeah,
at it. And same thing with
true.
business, right? Everyone puts like goalposts everywhere. If I'm gonna add one more little nugget there, it's like there is no finish, and if your goals have a finish to them, they're bad goals. Because they're things that when you're done, you can look around and say, "What's next?" Right? And there's, I just think that like trying to find something you're passionate about, what is it that, excites me to like get up and do stuff, in the morning. And then, if you just focus on that stuff, the other, all the other details sort of like work themselves out. And yeah, just focus on what you love and the rest will come.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, yeah, if you made it this far, 10-4.
Yeah. 10-4.
Shout out. Thank you.
Over and out. Yeah.